Hey guys, happy Thursday. It is your favorite trauma-informed money coach, Kira from Budget and Heal, where I help women to get out of debt and out of financial survival mode through financial literacy, personal development, and accountability. So I am back with another paycheck budget video. I know I am a few days late, guys. I know, but I am consistent. I am being consistent. I am, however, a few days late. So it's important for me to preface this video by saying this video is very different from my previous paycheck budget video, the October 15th paycheck budget video. And if you watch that video, you'll recall I mentioned that one was pretty easy, simple, right? This one is a little more complicated, but I'm going to walk you through this process with clarity, okay, with calm, with peace, right? And we're going to work through it together. And I'm going to show you guys how to tackle these types of situations because, plot twist, I have a negative number at the end of my balance. And I wanted to show you guys this because every paycheck that you do is not going to always end the way you want it to end. But it's important to document these numbers. And I'm also going to show you how to navigate through the emotions of seeing the negative number. I'm going to teach you about the strategies I use to fix that negative number. And I'm also going to show you how to get through these types of situations in a way that you do not beat yourself up or add any shame to yourself, okay? So guys, in an effort to streamline things and to stay on point, I created an agenda, okay? So an agenda for the October 30th paycheck budget and cash flow compass, okay? First, we are going to pause, reflect, and realign because, like I mentioned, I do have a negative number in my paycheck budget, okay? I'm going to tell you about the real story behind the numbers, right? What happened, how it happened, right? I'm going to show you how I navigate through these tough spots. I'm going to show you where the money went exactly. And I'm going to show you how I course correct, okay, with confidence and without shame, okay? So this gentle progress is still progress, okay? We're going to budget and heal together. All right, so we are going to jump in. You will have the paycheck budget on the side of your screen. So my paycheck amount was $1,803.30. I got paid on October, I believe it was October 30th. I normally get paid 2 days early, so it could have been the 29th. It could have been the 28th or the 29th. Nonetheless, I got paid, and that was my second paycheck for October. That income came from my school nurse job, okay? Now, that income came from my school nurse job, and if you look in the income category section, it says count your blessings. Each paycheck is a stepping stone toward your goals, okay? So again, as I mentioned previously, I do have a negative number, but we're still counting our blessings because there are several people who do not have jobs, right? Who are being laid off in record mass numbers, okay? So as we come over to the savings category to the right, it says, think and plan ahead. Your future self will thank you for the choices you make today. So I have a total of 5 savings accounts that I paid from my October 30th paycheck. My stress-free fund, which some of you guys call an emergency fund, I added $100 to that account, and I have hit my goal for my stress-free account, but I still keep contributing. I just lowered the amount, but I still keep contributing because you never know, and you always want to cover yourself and your family, okay? The investment account, $400. My Roth IRA, I invested $437.50. My birthday sinking fund, I saved $65.75. That is a very low number, but it's a high number for me because I don't typically do anything on my birthday. It's just if I feel like it, I want to have the option to do something on my birthday, okay? Now, after my birthday sinking fund, I also have a vacation sinking fund in which I save $70 a month. Just FYI, guys, I save for the stress-free fund. I save $200 a month, but I save $100 per paycheck. And that goes for mostly all of these, okay? So my total savings is $1,073.25. That's how much I'm saving from this paycheck. Then we come down to the recurring bills. Now, in the recurring bills section, it says, pay your bills on time. Punctual payments pave the path to peace. Okay? Now, my recurring bills, rent, $707.65. Okay? Tithes, $50. Groceries. This is when we began to go left, guys. Groceries. I budgeted $117.40. But the actual amount that I spent on groceries was $327.78. Gas, $100. I budgeted $100, but I actually paid $91.24. So I saved a few dollars there. I believe it's like $8 and some change. Easy Pass. I budgeted for $25, but I actually paid, the actual amount was $35. Laundry. I budgeted $15 for laundry, but the actual amount was $20. So, in my budgeted category, my budgeted column, my total is $1,015.05. That's how much I thought it was going to be. In the actual column, which is when that direct deposit hit, the actual amount was $1,231.67. Now, guys, as you can see already, I'm in the negative. If you look at amount left in each column, you'll see the negative in front of the actual amounts in the budgeted column as well as the actual column. Now, here's the thing. Here's when some people will get flustered, stressed, confused, want to give up, want to quit, because if you've been on a streak where you've been managing your budget with A1 precision, but now you see a negative number, now it triggers something inside of you that might make you feel like a failure. You're not. Keep going. You have to see the numbers. You have to see the full story play out, not just your favorite parts, okay? So when we come over to the expenses column, and just a quick refresher, guys, the difference between expenses and reoccurring bills as it pertains to the paycheck budget is that reoccurring bills are the bills that you pay for consistently, okay? Whereas expenses are typically one-offs, right? You're paying for this one time only, okay? So for expenses, we have life insurance. That was $215.74. Aunt groceries. I did not budget for my aunt groceries. I happened to call my aunt and by the way, my aunt is 71 years old. I called her to ask her if she wanted to go walking with me because I'm not going to lie, I love when we go on a walk. She's 71. She's very agile. She doesn't drive. She hasn't drove in decades, but she's very active for her age. So I enjoy walking, and I enjoy going walking with her. So I called her. I was like, "Hey, auntie, what's up? What you doing today?" She said, "Nothing, just sitting here eating watermelon." So I was like, "Oh, that's good," because personally, I love watermelon, and I really have an affinity for eating watermelon in the morning too. It's like one of my favorite things to do when it's in season. So I didn't think anything of it, but my aunt said she was just throwing subtle hints, like saying things like, you know, it would be better with grits, with sausages, with eggs. So I don't know what's happening. So I'm saying I would eat it just like that. I enjoy it just like that. But then she goes on to tell me that she lost her card. She lost her card that has the money that she buys groceries off of. So I was like, you know what? I'll be there in like an hour or two. And I told her that her budget was $200. She actually came in under that. But it wasn't something that I planned, but it was something necessary. So you'll find that sometimes in your budget, it might not be something you plan, but when it comes to feeding your family or helping your family to eat, I mean, I don't know. For me, I'm gonna make sure my aunt eat, and I'll pay that bill later. So that was for my aunt groceries. That was $195.10. And then a friend of mine, I'm not gonna put her business out, but I purchased some groceries for my friend and her family. That was $50.04. Here's the thing though, just so I'm clear, my aunt nor my friend, neither one of them asked me to buy them anything. Nobody asked nothing. That's my love language, right? So that's my love language. But just like my aunt and my friend groceries weren't in the budget either. And those groceries were $50.04. CVS, I purchased something from CVS that was $2.97. And I also purchased, which was not in the budget, FYI. I also purchased a defensive driving course, which was $29.95. That was not in the budget, okay? And then my wedding, I did not budget for my wedding in October, but I charged $1,554.39 for something for my wedding. Here's the thing though. As you guys are looking at my paycheck budget, I want you to understand that the green indicate transactions from my debit card. So the green highlight indicate transactions from my debit card, whereas the pink indicate transactions from my credit card, okay? I just wanted to make that clear. I meant to tell you guys that earlier. So my total budgeted for my expenses category was $215.74. That's all I budgeted to spend. But because of life circumstances and me, wanting to help my family and my friend, that actually put me at negative $574. Sorry, that also put me at negative $500.74. But when you go to the actual column, my total for my expenses for the October 30th paycheck was $2,048.19. What's also, and because transparency is important, that put me at a negative $2,549.81. Okay? Again, when you see a negative number when you're doing your budget, do not flip out. Do not flip out. I'm going to show you how to work through this process. Now, what's also important to remember, guys, if you look at the life insurance, if you look to the right of the life insurance, you'll see SF, that's sinking fund. You guys remember that I have a household sinking fund that I contribute to every month. Life insurance is in that sinking fund. So I just transfer the money from the sinking fund to the checking account. Then they take the money from there. Okay. Now, if you look at wedding, again, I also have a sinking fund for my wedding. So that's why I have SF there. I'm just going to transfer the money from my wedding sinking fund to pay off my credit card. So you might ask yourself, well, why didn't you just use your debit card to pay off the card? Why didn't you just use the debit card to pay off your wedding transaction? And the reason why I didn't is because I want to keep the money in my high yield savings account so that I can earn that interest on that money, because I get the interest on the 18th of every month. My credit card bill is due December 1st. So I'm going to keep that money in my high yield savings account so that I'm able to obtain the interest on that money that I make. And typically I make between $100 and something. And that's important to me. I like free money. I like passive money, right? And we're moving with intention. We're not just frivolously out here wasting money, buying. Like, you don't see me like eating out on anything right here. This is like real life stuff, real life things happening, right? So in the expenses section, it says, spend wisely. Each decision today shapes your financial freedom tomorrow. Meaning, be mindful of how you're spending, what you're spending. Even looking at the negative numbers, I don't feel no type of way about them because we have a strategy. We had a strategy before we made the transactions, okay? Now, when we come down to the debt categories, it says clear your debts. clear your mind. Freedom starts with accountability. One of the things that I want you guys to remember, you watching this video right now, you're holding yourself accountable to learning different ways, different tricks, different methods, different strategies to help you budget your money. This is a part of that accountability, right? And as I'm doing this, I'm holding myself accountable to what I teach you guys and what I teach my clients, right? I'm holding myself accountable. I'm not hiding the numbers because they're negative. I'm not going to avoid doing the paycheck budget because these numbers are negative. No, I'm going to show you what this looks like in real life when things come up and they weren't planned for, right? So for my American Express, I budgeted $219, but the actual amount was $219.11. Okay? So it is very important, guys, very, very, very important to show you guys this level of transparency. If you guys look at the last section, the budget summary, it says, take control of your finances, you got this. If you look in that summary, I tried to highlight because I don't want you guys to be confused. I want you guys to have a crystal clear picture of what's happening here, okay? If you look in a budget summary, you'll see some of the green highlight. Again, the green highlight indicates debit card. The pink highlight indicates American Express. And in the budget summary, if it's not highlighted, it might be a combination of two, okay? I don't want you to get confused. So for example, if we just look at the recurring bills. You see I use the debit card and the credit card, right? So in the recurring bill section, in the budget summary, it's not highlighted at all. Or I could have highlighted it both. Let's not complicate it. Let's just keep it simple, okay? But I say all that to say, my actual amount was negative $2,768.92. I will say that again. My actual amount was negative $2,768.92. So Shakira, what happened? So what happened was some things came along as far as my aunt groceries, a friend of mine groceries. Again, they didn't ask me to do anything. That's my love language, right? My wedding, the reason why I made that transaction is because as the time go on, the price will increase. So, and that's significantly lower than what I paid last year. So, very important for me to act on that. And one of the things I want to address before we move on to the cash flow compass, as I'm seeing these numbers, the positive and the negative numbers, there's no shame, there's no embarrassment about these numbers. You know why? Because as I look at these things, looking at the recurring bills, rent, tithes, groceries, gas, Easy Pass, laundry, expenses, life insurance, aunt grocery, friend groceries, CVS, defensive driving, wedding, savings, stress-free sinking fund, investment sinking fund, Roth IRA, birthday sinking fund, vacay sinking fund, debt, American Express, $219. There's nothing in there that was unnecessary. There's nothing in there that says, well, why did you do that? Like why did you do that? That doesn't make any sense. Everything that was purchased with intentionality. Right? So we won't be shamed by our purchases. It's just an indicator. It's telling us, because the numbers don't lie, right? It's telling us where we are and what we need to do to get things on track, okay? So now we are going to review the cash flow compass, okay? Chart your path to prosperity. By embracing organization and taking control, you are not just managing numbers, you're creating your future and building your dreams, okay? That is right on the cash flow compass. So if you guys look in the category section, all I do is take the categories from the front of the paycheck budget and put it on the back of the cash flow compass. And the next column, all I do is write down the amount that each category costs, right? And then I write down the due date in the following column. The reason why it's important to track these expenses is because things can get very confusing inside of your head. So we want to take it from outside of your head, from inside of your head, and put it onto paper, okay? Very important. The due dates so I'll give you a quick example, guys. For my stress-free fund, investment, Roth IRA, vacation, right? Birthday, all of those were due on October 30th. However, my rent was due November 5th, right? But I paid it on October 30th, right? If you look at the highlighted section, guys, those are indicators that this is for my credit card. So that's a reminder, along with the note section that says pay with American Express credit card. That's a reminder that's the credit card, okay? You pay those things with the credit card. And where it says pay that, okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm writing in medical terms. You guys know I'm a nurse also. So that little line and then a C, that just means with, okay? So when you see paid with DC, that's debit card, right? If you look to the right of the notes section, you'll see the lines, the boxes that are checked off. That means that I paid for that already cleared. If you don't see a check mark, that means I have not paid for that yet. As you can see, guys, some of my transactions are due December 1st, right? So now I'm going to tell you how I'm paying for these things. I am going to pay the credit card with the sinking funds, right? With the sinking funds to pay for those purchases. And the reason why this is important is because when you save money, right? Sometimes we forget that there's levels to learning and implementing money strategies, right? So initially I had a scarcity mindset, right? I didn't want to spend anything. You guys, if you look on my Instagram is at Budget and Hill, BUDGETANDHEAL. If you look on my Instagram, you'll see me talking about how uncomfortable I was spending money in the last quarter of the year. So let me tell you guys what happened, and it's all correlated, so I'm not like all over the place. The last quarter of the year, I have an increased number of bills. Typically, it is car insurance, which is due November 23rd. Car insurance, life insurance, I paid that, but car insurance, life insurance, internet, PSE&G, cell phone, right? And I used to be so uncomfortable because when you work so hard to get your savings to a certain number, and then you have to pay them, you have to take money out to pay off what they were being saved for, it's still not necessarily easy to do. You grow into that ease, right? Because you got to remember and give yourself some grace. You're essentially going from a scarcity mindset to a more structured mindset to a more abundant mindset, right? And like I just said, there's levels to this. So that's where I was, and I'm not gonna lie, it's still a piece of that inside of me. I'm still a work in progress. I am not perfect. If you thought I was perfect, you thought wrong. I am not perfect. And this budget shows you I am not perfect. And it also shows you that I do not have any shame. I'm not embarrassed. Like, how's she going to be a money coach and she's sure? Easy. This is the part you need to see. You need to see how coaches work through these things, right? You need to see that the reason why she's not tripping excuse me. You need to see the reason why she's not tripping is because she saves money consistently. So it's nothing but a transfer for her, right? You need to be able to see that, not just when it's all good and dandy on a paper. So let me tell you guys what I would do if I did not have the money saved up. If I did not have the money saved to pay off my credit card next month in full, the first thing I would do is call the credit card company. That's the first thing I would do. I would call the credit card company and I will ask them about their hardship program. Not all, but most credit card companies have a hardship program. So what is a hardship program? A hardship program is a program that different credit cards, different creditors, not just credit cards, because it's not specifically geared towards credit cards. It could be your house, it could be your car, it could be your credit card. So a hardship program is when they offer you different, I guess you could say they throw you a lifeline, right? In that they may lower your payments for a certain amount of time. They may lower your interest rate for a certain amount of time. They may wipe out fees for a certain amount of time. They may pause your payments for a certain amount of time. And I do have a script that I give to my clients to use when they are calling their creditors, because one of the things that's very important when you're doing this, you have to be comfortable with negotiating. You have to know your numbers. You have to know what you're capable of paying, right? And you have to be very confident with negotiating. So I help my clients. I give them the script. I also do mock training with them. Yeah, I'm that kind of coach. I also do mock training with them whereas I'll be the creditor. They're calling for the hardship, and I'm very hard on them so they can learn how to be prepared for these situations and go in there and get what they rightfully deserve, right? So that's the first thing I would do, is I would continue to complete my budget, right? I would continue to complete my budget, do my numbers so that I know how much I have. I know how much I'm working with. So when I call these creditors and ask for some relief, for debt relief, I can give them exact numbers, like this is how much I have, because they may offer you a solution that you can't afford. It's important to know whether you can afford that or not before you make that call, right? So you want to continue to do your numbers, even if you run into negatives. It is okay. You got this. You can do this, okay? Now, after I did that, after I negotiated with the creditors in regards to the hardship, I will also ask, will this impact my credit score? Will this impact my credit history at all? You want to know the pros and the cons, and you want this in writing. You want to write down the person's name, the date you call, the time you call. You want to be efficient with this, okay? And one of the things that is very, very helpful in this situation, if I was not able to pay for it, I only use one credit card. So it's only one phone call I have to make, right? It's one phone call. And in that way, I'm able to develop my cojones, right? In negotiating, I'm able to work this out with one creditor as opposed to 5 or 6 creditors, which can be more challenging. It's not a negative in and of itself. It just creates more challenge, right? Now you got to do it with 5 or 6 as opposed to 1. So that's how I would handle it if I was not able to cover it. But I am able to cover it, guys. It's just a transfer from my high yield savings to my actual checking and then to the credit card company. But again, I wanted to keep that money inside of my high yield savings account so that I can earn the interest on my account, because I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm using the interest that I earned from my high yield savings account to max out my Roth IRA. So the way that I do that, you guys know that I just mentioned that in my savings category, the Roth IRA, I contribute $437.50 every single month, right? But I recently also transferred $1,750, I believe it was $1,750, from my high yield savings to my Roth IRA, because I will not fully fund my Roth IRA without that transfer. So I front loaded that part. And you could do that at the beginning of the year, which I really don't recommend. I just recommend doing it towards the end of the year so you can have an exact number, because you cannot don't go over the max. The max is $7,000 that you can save in your Roth IRA if you are under 50 years old. And I believe it's $8,000 if you are older than 50 or older. So, and then I'm going to fully fund it, the rest using the interest that I earn from my high yield savings account. So as you can see, guys, I'm being very intentional with the money and the way I do things. Do not let a negative number discourage you. Do not let you keep going. There are ways to adjust that. Another way you can look at this is, look, this is one paycheck, 1 month. This is temporary. You do not need to beat yourself up about it. You are not a failure. You do not need to embody shame. Okay? You have to embody discernment. Discernment. Yes, this happened. Yes, I'm in the negative. Yes, the numbers say I'm in the negative almost $3,000. But I can easily transfer that 2768.92 right now if I desire, if my heart desire. And I'm also going to put up, guys, I'm going to show you the images, because one of the things that I did that I believe could be very, very helpful for you guys to be aware of is, one of the things I did is I already pre-scheduled the payment, my credit card payment, to be taken from my high yield savings and paid on the 21st. Even though the credit card bill is not due until December 1st, I'm transferring the amount from the balance from my high yield savings to my checking account on November 21st, so that I'm able to pay off my credit card and I'm able to pay it off early. I just want to make sure I waited until after that November 18th, which is when I typically get paid interest. Okay. So I want you guys to see the intentionality behind this. I want you to see that you do not have to carry shame with you or embarrassment. It's okay. Listen, this is a one-time thing. And even if it's not a one-time thing, we have strategies on how to get out, right? We have strategies on how to get out. You're not a tree. You're not stuck. You're not a tree. You are not stuck, okay? So I hope this was helpful to you guys. I will be back with another paycheck budget video. If you have not done so already, please like, comment, subscribe, share if you care. I appreciate you guys. Let me know what you find helpful. Let me know what you need clarification on. Let me know if this was just all a mess for you and you just don't know what's happening here. All right, let me know. All right, y'all. Later.